Hi, my name is Natasha Liu, and I'm an actress. I thought I have cried, I've been broke, I've been cries of joy as if to greet my father's happy fate. I'm Natasha Liu.
Where are you at currently?
I'm in Honolulu.
Oh, you're in Hawaii. Okay, I'm like, I see the light from the outside. I'm like, must be
I
early
know,
wherever
it's
here.
very nice. I have good lighting.
You certainly natural lighting.
No need for a ring light during the day.
I'd say so. Hi, Natasha. How's it going?
Hi, I'm okay. I'm standing in front of two lights because it's dark as heck in my apartment.
Me too. I got a halo going and it's still like dark as heck in the background for me.
I know. Sorry, guys.
It's all good. I mean, not all of us could be in Hawaii.
I know.
Well, this is great. I'm so excited to chat with both of you about this film and just kind of in general see how everything's going. So this is good. I'm going to I'm going to aim. By the way, Natasha, where are you at?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, you're in Los Angeles. So we're kind of all over. I'm in Chicago, by the way. That's why it's like.
Oh, you're in Chicago.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I've been here since like July. That's where I'm from originally. I was in LA prior, but
Right.
with family, I mean, I just figured I'd stay till the rest of the year.
I'm working on Magnum PI,
Mm-hmm.
but we had wrapped and I was ready to go back to the mainland, and then the pandemic hit and my daughter goes to UH, so I decided to stay.
Oh, well,
Who knew it would be for so long?
Are they not allowing travel from Hawaii to the
Oh no, you could go, but
I see.
My daughter lives here, so I wanted to be close to her, just like you wanted to be closer to your family.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, especially it's fitting since you were filming at the time too. So
right, and she was still in school. They were doing classes. I think they shut down during spring break, so she just, when she went back, it was all online, and it's still online.
Yep.
So
things aren't changing for a while, probably.
No.
So I'm glad everyone's safe and healthy, though. That's the main part.
We
right
are.
There. Yeah. So that's a good thing.
But it's scary, isn't it? That everybody's,
totally
I mean, the cases are like skyrocketing.
Yeah, I'm in Chicago and now they're like almost doing another lockdown. So like things are closing down again. My sister has Corona right now. My uncle's had it. Like it's just kind of all over. I'm just like staying in.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
One of my uncles died from it in Poland because he's in Poland. He was in Poland. Yeah. So it's serious.
So sorry.
It is serious. And it's stunning that people still think it's a hoax.
Yeah. No,
as they're dying. No, it's not Corona, it's the flu.
It's real.
It's unreal.
Yeah. So tell me, I'm going to start with you, Amy. Tell me how you were approached by this project. It was such an interesting, like half an hour documentary, but it packs so much great stories and information. Tell me how you were approached to it initially and get involved with it.
Well, I knew that Quentin was making this documentary, and I was intrigued anyway, because, this is a figure that I think all Asian American actors we knew of her, but I don't think we knew a lot about her and how much she had, been a force in the time that she was in Hollywood.
Yeah.
She didn't want to. She felt like I need to be equal. I shouldn't have to, all the women, they were so strong then, it seems to me. During that period of time, it was kind of being a woman, they like said, you're not paying me less, I'm going to get paid the same. And, that kind of stuff, they did that. And then somehow it all kind of got out of somehow they were beat down, and I don't know what happened. So she was always a figure that was interesting. I didn't know that much about her. And I didn't really know that much about the documentary. And Quentin just said, can we interview you? And I said, okay, because Quentin and I are pretty close friends. And so I've done a lot of things with him, and I just say yes almost to everything. If I have the time, I just do it. And it's turned into this, and Natasha was delightful. And, you know, I'm always curious about the young generation that's coming up. And she, you know, really impressed me as somebody who had the passion for doing this. And I realized, you know, her circumstances, I had the support. My mother wanted to be an actor, but wasn't allowed to because she's Japanese from Japan, and being an actor, you might as well be a hooker. So, you know, for her, it was not a
serious
profession
jobs
that she
over there.
was
You got to be like
encouraged to
a
do.
doctor or whatnot, or a business person.
So
Yeah.
I was sort of fulfilling her dream when she wanted to, and you know, they were very supportive of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm lucky in that way. In the Japanese way, though, she was like, why aren't you a star? You know, like I get a job, like I get a movie, and she goes, well, when are you going to Broadway? And then I go to Broadway, and she goes, when are you going to have your own series? You know, I mean, it was always like, I had to do
more
better.
and not good enough. Right?
Oh.
That's the Asian mom for me.
Always pushing you. What about you, Natasha? How were you
Always.
introduced
You
to
got
this
to do
project?
better.
Mm-hmm.
That's not enough. So. That's how I got involved, Quentin.
There you go. What about you, Natasha? How about you? How did you get approached to it? What did you think of it initially?
So Z, Eric, Yang, and Quentin, they were producing another project that I auditioned for. They did like a all social media search, like nationwide or international. I'm not sure like how hard they searched for this like character for this movie that they eventually didn't make, but I auditioned for it, and that's how they just saw my audition tape, and they called me back for it, and that's how I got to know them. But then like just like outside of that audition process, they approached me. We just went to a Thai restaurant, and they were like, hey, so we're doing this documentary, would you like to be a part of it? And I was like, yeah, sure. I would love to like learn more about the awesome Asian actors that have already worked for a long time in the industry, and just get to know, you know, our people more. So yeah, that was kind of the whole process.
You know, and it's so interesting because everyone's got a different story and how they kind of make it, but obviously you still have the culture kind of to relate to, all of you together. It's amazing how everyone's got a different kind of, you know, beginning, upbringing, where they from, how they got into the industry, but yet there's that tie-in you guys all have together. Did you guys interact together and kind of meet whoever was part of the documentaries, or did you kind of do your own parts in a sense? Did you get to connect, basically, is my question, with all these other fellow great actors?
Yeah, I got to go over to Amy's. Like Amy generously offered to let us shoot at her house. So I went over to her house, and I just remember like laughing a lot, and she was telling audition stories. And I remember being on a hammock at one point and just like saying silly things. I was like, oh my gosh, this is really fun. I just felt like I was just talking to people. So yeah, it felt like, you know, conversations with cool people that I would have enjoyed meeting anyways.
Amy, so you have a nice pad there with a hammock and everything. That's a welcoming place.
Yeah, well, you know, I still have a daughter, but I think when Natasha came over, she was still maybe in high school. So, you know, the backyard was our place to hang out because the house isn't that big. The backyard is the selling point of the house, is being able to expand out from the house.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's not fancy, but you know, people come over. It's an easy place to hang out.
That's what matters.
Yeah, it's welcoming. Yeah. I'm a welcoming person. But I think all the people that were in the documentary, didn't you just go? You went to Sandra's house too, didn't you?
Yeah, we just
everybody's backyard. I mean, we're all like, we're the people. We're all friendly. I think because we all have, you know, our stories of. Well, I think all actors have stories about how difficult it is. So in many ways, I feel like I feel for all young actors that come up, but I feel particularly motherly towards all young actors and actresses. I mean, actors, period, that come up, because you want them to feel, well, you know, that there is the possibility that their families are not supportive. So you're going to be that parent maybe that can support them. But, you know, it's a really tough business. So you want to give them a reality check, but also if they have the passion, that they should, you know, stick it out. And really a part of the whole thing is just going for it and studying and learning and keeping it up, even though you feel like I'll never get a job. You just got to keep going and going. And, you know, eventually your talent and your perseverance will pay off in some fashion, and you'll always make a living. At least you may not become a celebrity or super rich, but you'll probably make a living. And most, I think most actors, if they can do that, they're satisfied, because I think a lot of, like myself, if I could make a living and do theater, which is where, you know, you get to really use all of your muscles as an actor, then you could do that for hardly any money.
Which is
as
true.
Long as you have the other thing that pays your bills, then you can take time to do the stuff that really feeds you artistically.
That is so well said. I was just going to kind of mention, I think you covered it really well, about how difficult, in a sense, is it to maintain. You had a great working career as a working actor. I mean, and in this industry, as you kind of mentioned it too, you can have a job and then maybe not have one for 2 years. It's so fleeting, and it can disappear just at a moment's notice. How were you able to maintain kind of your longevity in this industry through, in a sense of, you know, decades, and continue working on different projects? Did you have like a secret sauce here or something for you that personally has worked to keep on maintaining this lifestyle? Because it's tough to do.
Well, I think in many ways, I mean, I normally accept most challenges that come to me. I mean, whether it's paying, it doesn't really matter how much it pays. It's more about the work. So I will say yes to a lot of theater. I mean, there have been years that I made $25,000, but I was doing really wonderful things. I was doing theater and, you know, exploring many different, like I did solo shows. I did a lot of stuff, and all that stuff, you're not thinking about the end game. You're thinking about the moment and how it's satisfying you. And then in some miraculous way, it sort of pays off. Like, you know, when I did my solo show, networks came to see the show and wanted to, you know, build something off of that. Well, I wasn't really prepared for that because I was just making a solo show. So I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. But, you know, the energy that you put into what you do sort of leads to stuff. Like this morning, I did a voiceover job. And I didn't know that I was going to go into this voiceover world, but now I have another career in voiceovers and animation, and that's really fun. But I think it all goes back to the beginning of my career in theater, and that's the joy that I have in acting. So it's always doing the best I can, trying to challenge myself as much, and saying yes to a lot of things.
You have
that challenge me. It's fun.
Natasha, you're well educated. You're multi-talented. You seems like you got your foot in so many different genres of this entertainment industry, and in terms of being a performer. What has you've been kind of key, and you're still, you know, you're a ascending, you know, younger actor in a sense. In that sense, what is the key been for you? Because it seems like kind of being the jack of all trades is beneficial, and the more you can do, the more, you know, people kind of gravitate towards you, and the more you're hireable in so many things. What has been your key kind of rising in this industry, and what you kind of are looking to achieve and gain towards?
That's a really good question. So were you asking like what keeps me going, what keeps me motivated? Like,
I think both. I think what keeps you motivated, and what are you kind of having, you know, so much, in a sense, training and outside of, in a sense, just acting work, you know, what kind of keeps you going on a daily basis, and as a person, and how it relates to your work?
I feel like I've had like an interesting background because I've done like a lot of things to make money outside of acting, because like, you know, when you're coming up, it's like, oh, sometimes it's like there's a paycheck from acting and sometimes you're like, I don't know how I'm gonna pay rent this month. Who knows? So yeah, I've worked in like BDSM. I've done like nude art modeling. You know, I work in college admissions right now. But I mean, from all these like side jobs and the travels that have come with these side jobs, like I feel like I've learned a lot about myself. I've like pushed my limits. I've like pushed my boundaries, and I feel like it's made me a more fearless actress in a sense, because it's like, okay, if I'm able to like beat up submissives in a dungeon or virtually, then I don't know, auditions are a lot less scary, because yeah, I'm just doing weird stuff sometimes. And it's like, okay, like I feel like as an actor, it's like really useful to have so many different experiences.
Yeah,
It is.
I mean, those experiences
All feeds
fill
into
you,
it.
and you are, I mean, they're all part of who you are. It's so great.
I think it's like the more of a well-rounded person you are in your real life, I think that works into your work and it comes through in so many ways. That's why I was interested about, in a sense, as you kind of coming up, Natasha, a lot of actors have to do it, especially living in LA to pay the bills. You know, it's always side hustles, side jobs. And it's so interesting that you're fearless. You are doing some things that people would say no or heck no to, but you're going for it. And I think that's going to show up in your work as a performer too, the fearlessness of like, yeah, I'll take on anything, you know, and do anything to kind of get myself through.
Yeah, I have a friend who once told me like, don't knock it until you try it twice. So it's kind of like, I'm gonna try it once, I'm gonna try it again, and then if I don't find any joy in it, then like I'm gonna move on. But yeah, it's been a fun journey. Like I have like no regrets, but like some painful stuff has happened, but I just throw it into my work. I feel like it's really like acting is really therapeutic, because you can just put all of that pain and excitement and trauma and just like kind of everything and use it.
That's well said. And I think there's
I love it.
truth to that in so many ways. And Amy, I'm sure through your years of experience, you can relate to kind of starting out and how all hands on deck, everything's, you know, needs to kind of be an option in order to survive in this industry.
Yeah, you know what's interesting for me is I'm not brave enough to do a lot of things that she's done, but
I'm not either.
I'm not. I wish I could say that I tried things like that, but I was, I guess, lucky. I always did acting adjacent kind of things. So when I was in San Francisco, I was doing working at the theater, the Asian American Theater Company, in the office, and I was doing theater, and I got paid to do that. There was like a program, you got $500 a month to pay off your parking tickets if you worked in the, I don't remember exactly what the deal was, but so I worked in the theater in the office. And so then I got, the call came in to audition for a voice job that was Filipina. I had to have a Filipina, and I'd just done a play where I played a Filipina mom. So I went in on audition, I got the job. For 6 years, I was the voice of Philippine Airlines, which then led to, because I did improv, I led to these people coming in. I didn't know improv was the ruler of voiceovers in San Francisco. And this voiceover guy came in, he goes, and he was an improviser. And he said, I didn't know you did voice work. And I said, oh yeah, I do. And then I was suddenly like the voiceover queen in LA, in San Francisco. Then I moved to LA, and I was doing game shows. I did game shows and game show run-throughs with celebrities. So I pretend to be a contestant or pretend to be a celebrity. But I got paid like $30 an hour or something to play games.
Not bad.
To see if they worked or not. And I did the Gong Show. And I did all this kind of acting adjacent, because I tried to be a waitress once, and I couldn't get it because I had no experience.
but yet you're qualified for these bigger roles and gigs and so many. Such a crazy industry.
It is a crazy industry, but I mean, I always thought, oh, I'll learn. And I was an interpreter on it because I speak Japanese. I lived in Japan for like my college. I worked as an interpreter on a Japanese American co-production, and I learned a lot. It was hell, but I learned a lot about, behind the scenes stuff. And I learned about, technical stuff and camera equipment and film stock and how every film is put together. It was really good.
I wanted to ask both of you about the representation of Asian actors. I think we kind of like, I sense, like in the last year or so, it's been kind of a boom in a sense because of Crazy Rich Asians in a lot of ways. Like, oh, suddenly like, oh, wow, we can have an all Asian movie and be profitable in so many ways. And it was just like this awakening, for some reason that movie sparked that, like it was some impossible task, which it was very possible to do because of the quality of actors in a sense. Have you seen kind of both of you being in the industry, more jobs now in a sense, or has it been steady throughout your starts? How has the industry maybe changed in the last couple of years, or maybe hasn't changed for you individually in getting roles and having roles even available that would fit your type? I'm going to start off with you, Natasha, since you're kind of now entering, that phase in a lot of ways too.
So I started auditioning a lot when I was 19. That was around like 5 years ago. And my first couple of theatrical auditions, like they were for like pretty well-known offices and for like lead or supporting movies, supporting roles in films. So like right off the bat, I never felt like there was like a lack of opportunities because I was like going out for stuff. But like when the role says all ethnicities, they could cast any ethnicity for that particular role. So like, it's just a matter of like, oh, they decided to go in this direction or that direction, or, white or black or Latina. I have auditioned for occasionally, like there is, I remember auditioning for a role where the joke was that her Chinese accent, as well as like her not knowing like any American pop culture references. And I just felt like, I don't know, it didn't sit well with me. And I was like, wow, roles like this are still being made. Like and recently there was a huge like uproar within the Asian community because a commercial casting office, they wrote a breakdown that said, no monolids, must be like fair-skinned Asian, no dark spots, pinky skin. And like that really angered a lot of us. And that was just a few weeks ago. So it's like, okay, weird stuff is still going on. It's not like completely changed, but I feel like lucky to have started out at a time when in the industry when Asian actors are getting like bigger opportunities instead of just accent roles and
or kind of some stereotypical roles that aren't even true to yourself in a lot of ways, just kind of a made up, in a sense, perceived, role of what an Asian actor should be. What about you, Amy? I mean, you've been in this industry so long. Have you noticed changes? What have been your kind of, experiences with auditions and work available for you?
Well, it seems to go in waves. I feel as though this current wave after Crazy Rich Asians is different in a way because we have more people behind the scenes, more Asian American writers, producers, directors that are putting packages together, more people even in the agencies that are packaging these things. And that's where I think the change is really going to happen because we have the talent, we have actors that are good.
Oh yeah.
And they can bring people in. And it's also expanded, to actors from Asia and from South Asia. And I mean, just there's a bigger market that we're looking at when we're making films. And it is a business. So I think they understand that. And we have more support in the community that we didn't have before. We have, the community going, we're going to buy out houses. Like for Crazy Rich Asians, people who had money bought houses, theater houses, and packed them so that we'd have the numbers when they came in. I mean, it was a revolution that way. For my own self, I mean, I've been around for so long.
Mhm.
So I've been on series where, you know, my Q rating is high, and then suddenly, like a couple years later, I'm going in for one line. You know what I mean? I'm sitting in a waiting room with because it's all ethnicities. There will be a Black woman with the Tony Award, an Asian American, me, and then a Latina, and maybe a South Asian. You know, I mean, we're all going in for this tiny part, this tiny part that could be offered to us because we've all made, people know we can act. So it's like, why would you call me in for this?
Yeah.
But, you know, we need to make a living, so we go in. I said no, fortunately, to a lot of things because my agent will say, you know, this is an offer. I'm going to take, you can take a look at it, but I think you're going to say no. And it'll be some stupid, you know, like a sight gag or you know, a gag where it's just an act. There's no human. There's no human involved in this.
Yep.
So it's like, if I can think I can make it a human, an authentic person, I will say yes, because, you know, that's the challenge. But if I think there's no hope for this character, fortunately I have you know, I've made enough money that I can say money is a great thing in that way, because you can say no and walk away.
Yep.
It's really hard when you got to pay bills.
Oh no, no question about that. You see, that's why it's such a cool contrast between you two, you know, and different.
I know. It's
Of
cool. I'm sure Natasha's going, that's such a great contrast. I'm not so.
Well,
Don't worry,
Natasha's
Natasha.
I just saw her in Synchronic. So
Oh, you did?
yeah. I spoke to Justin and Aaron also like 2 weeks ago. So
They're so great.
yeah. How was that experience? I wanted to ask you, because it was such a cool film. I really enjoyed it.
Oh my God, that was so fun. I was in New Orleans for the first time in my life. It was a role that I usually don't play. Like it's her, the character's name was Christina, and like she's like drugged out of her mind and like freaked out because her friend's dead.
Yep.
It was really fun. It was like a night shoot, and it just happened to rain that night. So I was just like cold, but just like still like doing the thing. And it was really fun. They're really collaborative. And I think it's really cool how they like, not only do they direct and write and produce, they like also edit the thing. And like, I feel like they're very like hands-on. They do like everything.
Totally. And they're doing another project right now, living together, you know, basically in quarantine. And I think their office is like in a building, and they have it like in a downstairs, like a floor below them. They're working. They were literally in their apartments on set, technically, when I was talking to them. So it was awesome.
Yeah, they're great.
They are amazing. I mean, look. It's those are the people like Quentin. Quentin doesn't stop. It doesn't matter if there's a quarantine, and he's a single dad. He does have a nanny, but he doesn't stop. A lot of people just, you know, you just don't stop. You just keep going. Yeah. This is just this whole pandemic, I think, has created more avenues to create more things. You know, I mean, it's like kind of been a blessing in disguise, I think, for some people.
No, I think there's, you know, a situation you can be put in, but how are you going to come out of it? You know, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You can't just stop. You know, you can't stop for 5-6 months of doing nothing. You need to keep, in this industry, you got to keep it going. Like it's like a muscle. You need to keep on working out, because you never know when you step on the court, you know? Totally. Kind of wanted to ask you guys too, you know, aside of acting and kind of performing, what are some hobbies? Amy, I'm going to start with you. Any hobbies or interests you like to do outside of, because you're a busy woman, you're working a lot, which is great, but what are some things you like to get away to?
I don't go anywhere, but I do get away to, you know, I got my degree in fine arts. So I have painting and those kinds of things, and I like to create stuff. So I had a sewing machine, and I was able to make, I took dresses apart that I wasn't wearing anymore, and I put them together, and I was like MacGyvering things. I was doing a bunch of stuff, and you know, those are the kind of things. I also do ceramics. I don't do them now, but I do ceramic. I do.
Wow,
I like to
that's
be
a
creative with my
endeavor
hands.
you have there.
And I was baking like everybody else, baking and cooking and
Uh-huh. Oh, that's fantastic. You see, I like hearing that sort of stuff. You have like you're creative individual. I feel like all kind of performers are creative in so many ways, but you also have other creative outlets like the ceramics and just making stuff. That's kind of part being of a creative person. You even take your outside energy to other creative avenues. That's really cool.
yeah, got to.
You have to. Yeah. Natasha, how about you?
I have a cat. my cat
Yes,
takes
perfect.
my cat takes a lot of my time, energy, and money, and I love him so much. I just got him. He's an orange tabby named Kit Kat, and I'm
That's
obsessed
cute.
with him now. I like writing. I feel like writing's really therapeutic. I write like some days it could be a short film, some days it could be like just really dumb haikus like in my journal. Some days I write a short story. I enjoy cooking in my free time. I feel like the pandemic, like before the pandemic, I never cooked, and now I'm just like whipping up like steaks and salads, and I know how to make like potatoes au gratin or however it's pronounced. Yeah, I'm just really, I like that it's just something like physical I can do to get my mind off stuff. And then afterwards, I have a delicious meal and I feel like I've accomplished something.
Yeah, and you made it and you're learning something in the process. That's awesome. Is it only for you or you're cooking for others too?
I cook for me and my boyfriend whenever he's over, and I also cook for my cat.
Okay, well, the cat gets fancy dinners there. Look at that.
Nice.
Chicken breast for my cat.
Wow, no canned food there. There you go. That's awesome. I love hearing that sort of stuff. It's cool to see that, you know, like I said, to be a performer in any sense, I feel like you need to have that, like we mentioned, that real aspect to yourself and that life.
Yeah.
Experience. So, you know, no one just born like I'm an actor, 24/7. That just doesn't work in any sense.
It's boring too.
Yeah.
I mean, in some sense, just talking about, most of my friends are not, almost all of my friends are not actors.
Interesting.
So it's nice to have, we talk about politics or we gripe about politics. You know, about the world, climate change. I mean, we talk about all kinds of things. We all read. So we read books, which is very exciting, and talk about, you know, just a lot of things, movies, we watch movies. So there are things in the world, we want to be able to explore the world and be around people that can have a conversation about it, you know, that's really important.
Are you still working on Magnum PI currently at the moment? The production still
Yeah.
going?
We're shooting. CBS has cut back all drama series to just 16 episodes, so we end now in March.
Okay.
We started in September. Usually it would be 22 episodes, I think.
Yeah.
So it would land later. But I think they want to try to get back onto a schedule. If we end in March, then we'll start again in July.
Are the sets a little bit different now? I'm kind of curious with all this. How have they changed in the last year?
We wear masks all the time. We get tested 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We have to stay away from each other. And they have zones like zone A, B, C. Zone A is hair and makeup, and the director and the AD. And we are the only ones that can kind of be close to each other, like the director. But as soon as they yell action, the mask, as soon as they say rolling, then we take the mask off.
Wow.
And then as soon as they say cut, masks back on. So we're always looking for pockets or someplace to put the mask, because you want to be able to access it right away.
Yeah, it's so strange. You're not used to it, you know, especially if you're, you know, all these years of work, suddenly you're grabbing for masks and putting it, it's changed for sure in that way.
Oh yeah. It's, you know, I mean, the set feels safer than anywhere else because of, we have COVID compliance officers that are there who will say, you're too close, get back, you know, like for camera and grips, it's really hard because they're so trained to come in to start hanging lights or moving things or doing stuff. So you have to remind them all the time to stay away from everybody.
Interesting.
We have entrances that we can go in, and then exits. We can't go in and out the same entrance.
Wow.
I mean, it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it
But
sounds like it.
if
I
we
was
don't,
curious about it.
we're screwed. And food comes packaged.
Oh yeah,
You
no
can't
more
just go to Crafty and graze. You have to go to a table with a plastic thing in front of it and say, I'll have a banana. And it's very different.
Wow.
So it's good. We're eating better.
True.
Because we have to make good choices instead of just, grabbing food as you walk by.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of the double-edged sword, positive and negative. You're eating better and you're probably healthier, but you're not tasting all those things you would have on display.
No, you're talking to somebody too, saying, I'll have a banana instead of just going and grabbing potato chips. Because nobody's looking.
Exactly. I do the same thing for sure.
Yeah.
Fantastic work. I really enjoyed this documentary. I thought it was so interesting, and it was cool seeing each kind of story. Everyone has a story and a side, and it was just interesting to see, the different generations too. I think that was a fun part of it. How there's so many different generations of actors and different stories of them and starts. I think it's always fascinating, and it's cool to see you guys kind of assembled like a little family there.
We are. I feel like we are a family.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just assume them as my family. They may not know it and may not want to be part of my family, but I don't care.
It's not Amy.
Yeah, I want to be around all these. Yeah, I love them all. I'm so proud of all of them that decide that they're willing to be in this tribe.
No question. It's a good one. You're the mama of the tribe. I can tell. Perfect. Natasha, before I forget, this whole BDSM, how much acting is it involved in that? I was wondering, a lot of acting or none?
Oh my God, it's so much acting. I am not a dominant person. It's so much acting. It's so difficult.
You see, I mean, that must be a heck of a performance to pull that off, Joe. I was curious about it too. That's another thing. I'm like, how much acting is that involved?
A lot of acting. And I feel like it's like I have to believe it for the other person to believe it. So it's like I have to like get into it. It's like a character for me.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
And there's no script, right? You have to improvise it as you go. That's crazy.
It's like sexy, scary improv where you're actually like, it's not like fake stage combat. It's like, no, I'm actually like hitting these people. It's kind of intense. I say that as I laugh.
You probably have a ton of stories just from that.
You have to laugh.
There's
too many stories.
Story every time. You get to see what people are about too, I'm sure, in so many ways,
It's a really good lesson in human psychology. I feel like if you want to learn more about
I want that. I want your memoirs now.
I'll write them over to you.
Okay. I mean, that would make a great, even a short film. Have you written that film about that world?
I would watch it. I would be curious to know what goes on. You just hear about it. It's kind of like the vast unknown. You just hear bits and pieces, but to have a movie about it or a documentary, I think it'd be fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have all of like my notes from an interesting.
Oh, you've got to do something from your
Natasha, that's your end right there.
Oh my God.
I mean, there was like a couples counselor whose wife didn't know he was at the dungeon, and I was like, "What kind of?"
All these stories are so good.
There was a guy with like heroin in his belly button, and it was like wrapped up, and I was like, "What the heck?" Like I had to ask him what it was, and he told me it was heroin.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh! Now I know.
Wow.
That's a script right there. So start putting it together.
I love it. I'm so curious.
Me too.
We'll heroin in my belly button.
Wow. Well, that's a fun note to end things on. That's awesome. It's like we're out of time. Like final minute countdown. I see here. I'm like, wow, what a fantastic way to really put a bow tie on that.
In my belly button and other stories.
Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me.
Thank you.
It's been a blast talking. Thank you, right there. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Stay safe and healthy, and hopefully get to catch up.
You too. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye.
I grew up in a tinier town outside of Ottawa.
I grew up in Michigan.
Queens, China, Minnesota. Here in Los Angeles.
And I came to the United States for college.